The zones of special operations remain relevant and in the current fight to restore law and order in certain communities. Indeed, to borrow a phrase, the zones of special operations may be the best example of what we call proximity policing. They're very
tactics, the tactics employed by the security forces in the zones. There is a perception that essentially there are sedentary checkpoints across the zones where, police and soldiers sit under a tent for many hours, well, on an ongoing basis, really. But there isn't really sufficient attention being paid to what may be going on in fairly close proximity to those checkpoints. And so you have flare-ups of intense violence, even in a community which has been under a zone for over 5 years. I mean, we've been hearing just recently the reports in Denham Town of serious violence, murders being committed, people being shot, and so on. And I get complaints, and neighbor, I have the same problem. Neighbor, I have the same problem. I have the same problem. I have the same problem. I have the same problem, but I don't have a ZOSO. I don't have a ZOSO where I am. I don't have 5 years of public resources being poured into the community to uplift the community. So I'm expecting better results in Denham Town. And because it's near to my constituency, what happens there impacts my constituency. People do traverse from Denham Town and come into parts of my constituency. People in Denham Town reach out to me. In fact, recently have reached out to me, and I'm more than happy to work with their elected representative to try and help to sort out whatever issues there may be. But my concern is in relation to the tactics being deployed. Why do we not have more patrols, patrols on an ongoing basis so that the people see the security?
Just a minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just asking why we do not have a variation of the strategy to have more mobility in the communities on the part of the security forces, rather having them immobilized at checkpoints for hours on end. Many of them are on their phones, no doubt cramped with boredom because nothing is happening right there. But there are issues around in close proximity. They need to be mobile. They need to move around the communities and be seen so that there can be less, their activities or their sedentary lack of activities is less predictable. And, whether they can be supported by cameras, CCTV cameras, Jamaica Eye, can we see the rollout of those in these communities to be a further disincentive to the criminals? What about the use of drones to monitor what is happening, especially at times when there's a flare? It might not be all the time, because when things are quiet, it's not necessary. But when there's a descent into an episode which is going to result in reprisals and so on, unfortunately, what tactics can be brought to kind of keep the peace and calm in those communities? I think that the security tactics that are being employed are inadequate. And it kind of brings the zones into disrepute when you see a situation where a community that has had hundreds of millions of dollars expended on it, on social improvements, social transformation, way beyond what is available to other communities which are in similar situations, and yet still violence continues to be a problem there. One wonders, is this really working? And we want it to work. So I'm just questioning whether the security aspects of it couldn't be fine-tuned to make them more effective. So those are my two suggestions, Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker.